Sumit Chander, who is the advocate, joining us for more on that. Mr. Sumit, here's the court that's granted the NCB one-day custody of the three accused. We know that they found enough sufficient evidence to show that three of them who have been arrested had drugs on them, maybe not enough to sell, but enough to consume and of course, enough to ponder on who's their supplier, because their WhatsApp chats also reveals that they could be in regular touch with these suppliers who've been regularly supplying them with drugs. Where do you see this case headed?
See, there are various aspects that needs to be seen here. Now, first of all, in whose possession it was found, what evidence does the police have on this? What is the quantity, most importantly, is to be seen here. Now, let's see, as per the arrest memo, it was Aryan Khan was found with just 13 grams of cocaine. That's what the arrest memo says. Whereas the commercial quantity is actually 100 grams. It was 5 grams of mephedrone, whereas 50 grams is what constitutes a commercial quantity. 21 grams of charas. What is the commercial quantities? 1 kilogram. So there is a world of difference in what was found, what it is. So various aspects have to be seen, and accordingly the police is going to ask for a custodial interrogation. If they're asking, there has to be some basis for that. Tomorrow when they apply for the bail before the regular court, it's a Monday. So let's see where the courts take it. But these are the aspects which will be considered by the court while deciding on the bail which will be applied by Aryan Khan tomorrow.
Well, based on that, now we're looking at a large event, a scale, a magnitude of over 1,000, 1,500 odd people who were on that cruise ship. It boiled down to 3 of them being arrested. Of course, Aryan being the poster boy of this entire episode. They've been deboarded and now brought to the NCB office for checks. But while that said, it appears that the party on that cruise is still on. There could be a lot more to dig out from that cruise. How did the NCB allow that party to take place in the first place? How did they allow that ship or that cruise to take off?
Navila, see, a party happening on a cruise is one. Whether they were arrested inside the cruise, to my understanding, they were not arrested while the party was going on. They were arrested before they entered the cruise ship. Now, just because there are some people, let's take it without a bias in mind. If there are people entering with drugs into a cruise ship and they are stopped beforehand, why should the cruise ship itself be penalized to whatever normal activity they were doing? However, it is the duty of the police to investigate the matter. If they feel there is an involvement of the cruise owners, of course that things will change there. But I don't think that is the case so far.
Well, do stay with us, Sumit. It is shocking that the cruise party is still on even as we speak, while you have 3 of them who've been arrested, including Aryan Khan, for possessing some of those drugs. What more could be found on that cruise ship? How did that cruise ship really be allowed to take off with that many on board, even as the NCB had already suspected that a massive rave party was to take place? Here, only 3 of them have been arrested. What happens to the rest of them? What happens to the organizers in the first place? Do they share no responsibility to this? In fact, a Mumbai court has now sent Aryan Khan, Arbaz Merchant and Moon Damech to one-day NCB custody. In fact, a heated argument also took place in Mumbai's Kila court during the hearing, demanding custody of all the 3 accused until the 5th of October. The Drug Probe Agency's lawyer claimed that there was sufficient evidence. Aryan's lawyer Satish Manishinde has argued that there is no basis for custody as the offences are bailable. However, he has agreed for one-day custody of Aryan. Manishinde has also said that Aryan was an invitee to the event and he had not purchased a ticket to that event. He was only a special invitee. He just landed up there because he was invited by the organizers. In fact, the NCB lawyer further has argued that all accused are interconnected and incriminating chats have been recovered from their phones, which show communication between them as well as the peddlers. The defense said that nothing was found in Aryan's luggage, which was screened at the cruise, and that no evidence has been found on his phone either.
एक दिन का कस्टडी कोर्ट ने हमारे रिमांड एप्लीकेशन पे तीनों अक्यूज को दिया है। मैटर को कल रखा हुआ है। हमारा रिमांड एप्लीकेशन के कोर्ट ने की सुनवाई होने के बाद कोर्ट ने ये फैसला किया है।
All right, let me cut across to our lawyer joining us there too. Sir, if you can take us through exactly what these sections really speak of. There are multiple sections under the NDPS Act that have been slapped on 3 of them. That also includes sale, purchase, possession, consumption. This, on one hand, an extreme punishment would be imprisonment up to 10 years, and if not up to 1 lakh as fine.
Yes. At this stage, like I said, there are various factors which is to be seen. What is the quantity of the drugs that have been found? What are the kind of drugs which have been found? The arrest memo has made it very clear the quantities are much less as compared to the commercial quantity. So the offense under the NDPS Act will be comparatively less. The question is that are we looking at what happens today, or are we just focusing on the bail? Right now, what is to be focused on is the bail, whether the bail when applied today, what the court is going to look into. In the arrest memo, it is the duty of the police to take into account the maximum punishment, the maximum of the offense, which they have done, rightly so. But it is now for the court to see whether those offenses have been rightly made, what are the evidences supporting the claim in the arrest memo, and accordingly the court is going to decide how it's going to proceed further.
Well, give us an insight here into what's the liability of the organizers, considering that this was the NCB claims that they received a tip-off that a massive rave party is to be organized. They disguised themselves as passengers and they went inside that ship, and they literally tried to lay out a trap. And Aryan Khan, along with the 3 others, were very much arrested from inside the ship itself. They were detained inside the ship, their bags were checked inside the ship, and they were brought out. Now, when the NCB knows very well that there was a massive rave party that was being carried out, how did that cruise be allowed to take off? These 3 of them were deboarded, 8 of them were detained, but the rest of the cruises are now enjoying a massive 3-day musical voyage. God knows what's happening inside.
See, Nabila, there are various, again, like I said, various aspects during investigation, what the police sees, what it is going to be. Now, what has happened is, of course, the organizers, if the moment the police is able to show that organizers are involved, definitely the liability gets passed on to them as well. The ship would not have been able to take off if it would have been found that, yes, a rave party has been organized. Of course, the tip was so, but did the police get sufficient evidence to show that the rave party was getting organized? Did the police get sufficient evidence to show that drugs were still on board the ship, or were it just entering the ship through these 3 people? These are the aspects which the police has to clarify. But I agree with you, Nabila, if organizers, any link to the organizers or the drugs being found on the ship during a party and the arrest is being made at that time, definitely the cruise would not have been allowed to go. So I don't think whether that such thing has happened, and that's the reason why the ship has been allowed to move on and the party to go on.
No, but where are the organizers? When our reporter, in fact, went in front of Arjun Jain, that's the organizer and who runs the Namaskre event company, they landed up at his house and he's not there at his home. There's absolutely no response coming in from the organizers. They've completely shrugged off responsibility. And considering 3 of them have been arrested, it's a massive case. There's massive media spotlight on this case. The organizers have so far not been summoned or questioned. They've been let off to party on the cruise.
No, I'm sure if there is any evidence found against the organizers, except besides the tip, then the police, of course, will go and investigate. The organizer at the moment is not found in his house, goes to show it goes against him. Now, whether the police will go and arrest, definitely they're not going to send him a notice or a summon. They're going to straightforward go and arrest him, even if they have an iota of evidence against the organizers. Of course, the ship, the police had gone to the ship. They had investigated the ship. Now let's see why the ship was allowed. That is the only reason why the ship would be allowed to move ahead and the party to go on, is where the police could not find anything to incriminate the party itself or the organizers organizing that party on the ship.
Well, nonetheless, it appears that the organizers have very clearly got a way to carry on with their party and allow the cruise to function. It's shocking that the NCB, who spotted this kind of contrabands on that cruise ship, eventually allowed that cruise to take off. That's what's shocking. While they have detained 3 of them, eventually arrested, all focused on 3 20-year-olds, you have seasoned organizers who are carrying forward with their party, despite the NCB having a tip-off that a massive rave party was going to be organized. It eventually came down to implicating 3 20-something. And that's what's really surprising, that at a time when there's such media spotlight, the cruise is enjoying itself.
I totally understand what you're trying to get at, Nabila, but it is to be seen whether, see, the custody of the drugs which were found as per the police report only with these 3 individuals, these 3 youngsters who were there. Now, whether it was being provided by the organizers itself, or they have found certain chats through the phones of these youngsters where the dealer or the distributor of these drugs was somebody else and not the organizers. But did they find something with the organizers or on the ship is a question that police has to answer. And I'm sure during investigation, this will come up. If they have not been arrested today, Nabila, I'm sure if it comes out in the investigation, they are definitely going to get arrested very soon.